Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Children, we are going to begin with our new lesson today, that is a poem, King Bruce and the Spider. This poem is written by Eliza Cook from 1818 to 1889. She was born in London. She was the youngest of 11 children. She was entirely self-educated and wrote verses from the age of 14. Her first volume being published at 17. In 1849, she edited and published Eliza Cook's Journal. Her work is simple and highly moral. In this poem, she teaches the reader what she always practiced in her own life, to keep on trying and never to be discouraged. Alright, so we begin the poem right now. King Bruce of Scotland flung himself down in a lonely mood to think. It's true he was monarch and wore a crown, but his heart was beginning to sink. This is actually a poem based on a story about a king of Scotland. His name was Bruce, and one day he was in a very sad mood, very depressed, very dejected. What the reason is, we'll come to know very soon. It is true that he was a king. Monarch means a king, and he wore a crown. But his heart was beginning to sink. So there was something which was troubling his mind. For he had been trying to do a great deed to make his people glad. He had tried and tried but couldn't succeed, so became quite sad. Now this was the reason for his sadness. Why he was depressed, why he was upset, is because he had tried several times to do something great and good for his people. But unfortunately, he could not succeed. That is why he ended up in a very depressing mood. He flung himself down in a low despair, that means in a very low mood, as grieved as man could be, as upset and sad as any man could be. And after a while, as he pondered there, thought, to think deeply. And after a while, as he pondered there, I'll give it all up, said he. So what came out of his heart? What was the message that he got in his mind? I will give it up. I will not make any more effort to what I was doing. Now, just at the moment, a spider dropped with its silken cobweb plume, and the king in the midst of his thinking stopped to see what the spider would do. Now, when he was he secluded himself, he went to live in a cave. He did not want to face the public, the people. And when he was lying down, he noticed a spider that fell from its cobweb, hanging only on a single silken thread. And the king in the midst means middle of his thinking, he stopped. He wondered. He wanted to see what the spider would do. It was a long way up. Actually, here T is just an expression. It means it was a long way up to the ceiling dome. Dome means a circular roof. Ceiling, the roof. And it hung by a rope so fine. So you can imagine the spider was hanging only on a very single thin fine thread. That how it would get to its cobweb home. Now the king was wondering, how will the spider reach back its home? Cobweb is his home. King Bruce could not Imagine. It soon began to cling and crawl, straight up with strong endeavor. Now, as King Bruce was watching the spider, what did it do? It clung to the thin silken thread from its cobweb and started to crawl upwards, straight up, with strong endeavor, with a lot of strong effort, endeavor to make a strong effort. But down it came with a slippery sprawl, as near to the ground as ever. And what did he notice? That it tried to go up and simply slipped back on the same thread and came right to the ground. Up it ran. Not a second could stay to utter the least complaint. Now, what did he see? He saw it go up again. It did not complain, did not say anything, but it kept on trying to move up till it fell still lower. So, the second time it went up, it fell down even to a lower level, and there it lay a little dizzy and faint. Obviously, the second time when it fell, it became dizzy, as if it was going to faint, not being conscious. Its head grew steady again, it went. Wow, look at that. The king was really surprised to see that the head of the spider became a little steady and started to move up again and traveled a half yard higher. So this time the effort helped him to go half a yard higher than the previous height. It was a delicate thread it had to tread. Tread means to walk. Now this path that the spider had to walk on was very delicate because it was a thin silken thread from its cobweb, and a road where its feet would get tired. So this was a very difficult task for the spider, and King Bruce kept on watching the endeavors, the efforts that the spider was making. Again it fell and swung below, but again it quickly mounted till up and down, now fast, now slow. 9 brave attempts were counted. Now see, it is such a thrilling thing and very encouraging that a little insect made 9 brave attempts. Every time it would go up, it would fall to a lower level. Then it tried further again. This way, the insect made 9 attempts, and the poetess calls it 9 brave attempts because it did not give up. It kept on trying. Sure, cried the king. On the 9th drop down, King Bruce was very sure now this insect is not going to make an attempt anymore. Sure, cried the king. That foolish thing will strive no more to climb. Will strive means will make no effort anymore to climb. When it toils means to work hard. When it toils so hard to reach and cling, and tumbles every time, falls down. But up the insect went once more. Ah me, it's an anxious minute. He's only a foot from his cobweb door. Oh, say, will he lose or win it? Steadily, that means slowly and strongly, inch by inch, higher and higher he got, and a bold little run at the very last pinch, last piece of distance, put him into his native cot. Native cot? Its home. Bravo, bravo, the king cried out. All honor to those who try. The spider up there defied despair. Defied despair, challenged the depression. It did not give up. It did not become depressed like King Bruce. It challenged the situation and went on trying. He conquered. That means he won. He defeated the despair and he conquered. And why should not I? Now, this was a question that struck his mind. And Bruce of Scotland braced his mind, made up his mind. And gossips tell the tale. Gossips, people all over the place, started to talk about this story. That he tried once more as he tried before, and that time did not fail. But up the insect went once more. Ah me, it's an anxious minute. He's only a foot from his cobweb door. Oh, say, will he lose or win it? Steadily, steadily, that means slowly and strongly, inch by inch, higher and higher he got, and a bold little run at the very last pinch, last piece of distance, put him into his native cot. Native cot? Its home. Bravo, bravo, the king cried out. All honor to those who try. The spider up there defied despair. Defied despair, challenged the depression. It did not give up. It did not become depressed like King Bruce. It challenged the situation and went on trying. He conquered. That means he won. He defeated the despair and he conquered. And why should not I? Now, this was a question that struck his mind. And Bruce of Scotland braced his mind, made up his mind. And gossips tell the tale. Gossips, people all over the place, started to talk about this story. That he tried once more as he tried before, and that time did not fail.